The following video will help you learn how to create reports using StatCrunch. So an example of a StatCrunch report is posted within the group that you're enrolled in, and there's also a brief screenshot of the report in the PowerPoint slide. You can see that there's some text to the report, and there's also the option for you to insert some of the results that you create. So for this particular report, we're going to deal with the self-practice problem 1-3 that was in your Chapter 1 notes. So the self-practice problem dealt with 134 cases that had undergone tracheal resections. So there were a variety of variables that recorded, some that were interval ratio in nature and others that were nominal. And what we'd like to do is to use StatCrunch to create an appropriate graphical display to summarize each of the variables that are in the dataset. So in order to do this, one of the first things you got to figure out is what variables are actually in your dataset. So if you look at the following table, we have the list of variables that were reported and also what type of variable this is. So we have age at surgery, which was an interval ratio variable. Prior tracheal surgery was nominal, because in that case, patients reported yes, they had had the surgery, or no, they had not. The extent of the resection was a value that was measured in centimeters, which results in interval ratio data. And the last two variables were also nominal in nature, whether intubation was required, again that's a yes-no response, and whether or not the patient died. So if we rearrange our variables, we see that we have 3 variables that were nominal in nature. We have 2 variables that were interval ratio in nature. Now, knowing what type of variable you've got created helps dictate what graphical display you can use to summarize your data. So for example, the 3 variables that are nominal, our 2 options to summarize this data is we can either use a pie chart or a bar graph. However, for those 2 variables that were interval ratio, the option that we've discussed is to use a histogram. So in order to create the report, I'm going to focus specifically on 2 variables, namely whether the patients had had prior tracheal surgery and also what their age at the most current surgery was.